Hi everyone, my name is Urvashi Gupta. I'm the General Manager for ONFIDO at APAC. And so ONFIDO, for those of you who don't know, we're a digital identity verification provider, also known as, I think, eKYC. That's the most common use case. And we work with crypto platforms both globally and in APAC to help them onboard users. And so, one of the companies we're very proud to be partnering with is Amber Group. And we have Gina Poh with us here today. She's the APAC AML Head. We're excited to tell you a bit more about ourselves and our work. So let's start with maybe a quick introduction, Gina.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Gina. I'm the AML Head for Amber Group. And actually, I joined about 10 months ago, leading AML program within Amber Group itself as well. Before this, I was actually the money laundering reporting officer for Citi Private Bank as well as Credit Suisse, and also help other leadership role, including compliance testing head in Citi, as well as transaction monitoring in Credit Suisse as well. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thanks, Gina. So you've had a very illustrious career in banking, work with some of the top organizations, and I'm sure this decision wasn't easy to move into a different domain. So how did you pick Amber Group?
I think the decision takes a while, but I believe it's the right decision. I think when they approached me for a role, right, obviously there is a big risk moving from traditional banking over to the digital asset industry itself. I think I look at the management team, I considered the way they run, and it's quite clear that they have a very strong idea of what they want to achieve. I think they're looking for a long-term plan in the sense that they want to continuously provide security to people who are interested in digital assets space itself. So the management have also a very clear idea in terms of what they want to do in terms of compliance. We can see a lot of players, they generally go for slightly junior people, but I think over here they know compliance is quite critical and very important part in order for the business to run in the longer run. And for those who have been in banking, I'm sure you have seen a lot of major banks has been slapped with fines. And over time, in a very highly volatile environment, I think it's important to make sure that right from the start, we have the right AML program to bring us through the very, very challenging period. For example, like this area itself. I think that's also reflected by the fact that we have very strong investors, like Dragonfly, Temasek. I think they would not have been interested to invest with us if we do not have a strong compliance program to start. And I think the benefit is also I have the ability to work with my team and the management team to design the right AML program for the organization. And the way it's growing, I also have a lot of empowerment to design and develop this AML program itself as well. How about yourself? You've been with ONFIDO for what, 3 years already, right?
Yes, that's right. I've been with ONFIDO for 3 years, and it's been quite a journey. So, I joined in November 2019, and of course, we know the pandemic hit just a few months after that. So very quickly, we saw our volumes skyrocket in terms of, our current customers suddenly had a lot more users that they were trying to onboard digitally. So there was that, and then there was also a lot of companies who had never thought about, going digital or building. There was always a culture of, walking into a branch to open an account, but suddenly with all these lockdowns, you couldn't do that anymore. So we were getting so many calls for companies who were trying to digitize literally overnight. And so it was a very exciting 6 months for us before we're able to get used to the new normal in terms of, a lot of fintechs now and crypto platforms going digital. So yeah, it was a very interesting time.
So COVID did good for you guys then?
Yes, COVID did good. And the other thing was the general proliferation of, crypto digital asset trading and the interest in that. That was another strong tailwind for us because this industry, they're digital native. They think in terms of creating the entire flow from start to finish in a digital manner. So we were, a lot of our companies actually, we work with crypto platforms very extensively.
And do you have any interesting better story that happened during COVID?
Oh yes, we have quite a few. In fact, one that comes to mind is one of our customers. They called us up quite upset because a very sophisticated fraud ring had, sometimes they can get hold of very high quality, genuine documents, and then if they're able to, change one detail, they can keep exploiting that again and again. So they had opened up a bunch of fake accounts, which obviously cost our customer money. And so, but then, we were right there in the trenches working with them. We'd seen this happening before. So we developed this product called Known Faces, where if we've seen someone, so the way, maybe if I, explain this a bit better, a lot of times fraudsters can, create a fake document or an original document that isn't theirs, but they can't change their face. And our onboarding requires a two-step verification of something you own, which is your ID, and something you are, which, in our case is the face, it's your biometric credential. So what we did was we found a way to flag if we've seen that user in your system before, and then we'll give that information to compliance teams, and then you decide what you want to do with it. So sometimes it's friendly fraud, in case, someone has an account but they forgot they have one, and so they're trying to sign up again. But sometimes it's more nefarious, where they're trying to exploit promotions or something. So then the compliance team is armed with these solutions.
Yeah, and I think it's quite common in a digital asset. I think many who have worked in a compliance team, right, you'll probably realize that there is a lot of scams, a lot of fraud, a lot of people trying to take advantage of promotion. I think that's where we also face that same challenge, and that's why we are very cautious about the partner that we are working with as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think on FIDO, we definitely treat our job as trying to stay one step ahead of the fraudsters, because fraud is always evolving. And so we need to evolve and just stay one step ahead to protect our customers. So Gina, as Amber grows, you're expanding globally, you're building, you're doing things the right way and building a robust platform. So I'm sure you're working with a lot of technology partners like us. So how do you, what's your approach to kind of identifying and working with the right partners?
Yeah, I think when I joined Amber, the benefit is also we get to pick what is the right vendor that is suitable for the size of business. I think Amber is a very dynamic organization. We have 4 lines of business. We have institutional, we have high net worth, we have retail, and we also have metaverse. And the kind of products that comes in is very different, and we need to design the right AML program for that. And I think the first couple of months when I joined, I speak to many vendors. And the first thing I always tell them is that I'm not looking for a cheap and a fast solution, that I need to, upgrade in 6 month times or 12 month times. So it's cheap today, but in 6 month time, I have to put in technology effort, I have to redo everything again. Then it does not make sense for me in the longer run, because we are not here for just 6 months or 12 months. We are not looking for just a quick bull run. We're actually here for sustainability. Will we still be using the same vendor in 24 months or in 5 years' time? Those are the questions that I'm challenging. So it's quite funny, because one of the vendors keep insisting, we are very cheap, we are very fast as well. We can implement it very fast, and we are very cheap. You are the cheapest you can find in the market. And I'm like, so are you good to start? And then there was like an awkward silence. And I was like, okay, maybe not this time, right? So maybe other company. I think depends on what the organization is looking for. So if you're looking for the right to stay in this industry for the longer term, then I think selecting the right partner is quite important actually. Yeah.
Thanks, Gina. Yeah, it's one of those things. We're always trying to balance between cheap and fast and good, because that's what our customers need. But practically speaking, it's very hard to be good at all 3. You can probably be really strong in 2, and then try and continuously upgrade your technology to get better. So, and even at ONFIDO, right, even though we have 10 years of R&D behind us, we do tell our customers that if it's a very sophisticated fake, it will get through our system. And so all we can do is just look for more data points and data signals to try and provide as much information as possible. So with that in mind, Gina, any tips for our audience on what they should do or think about as they select providers?
I think the first thing is when you talk to a vendor or a service provider, right, they always sell you a very beautiful dream or the best product. The reality is that no provider actually have the solution to everything. And I think it's also very important to ask all the questions as much as you can and really understand what each term means. A very simple example I can give you, right, is that address verification, address extraction. To you, you may think that address extraction means just to pull out the address from a document. It can be ID, it can be address proof. But different vendor has different interpretations. Some may say that, oh, because it's OCR, technology is applicable for all documents. But certain vendors say, no, address extraction is only for ID. If you want to do it from other document, you got to pay extra. And that is twice the price or 3 times the price. So sometimes during the contract negotiation piece, it's important to actually ask a few more questions just to understand what is their understanding and what is their definition. The other part is also, I think, doing proof of concept is very important. I think in banks, traditionally, they always do proof of concept to test a vendor. I think in fintech, because we are moving so fast, we may not have the time to do that. But it's still very, very important because it goes back to selling a dream, right? Every vendor can hire a great salesperson and sell you the miracle product. But when it comes to implementation, that's where the challenge is. And you realize that, actually, what the sales talk versus the actual implementation is quite different. And the proof of concept actually help you test something before you purchase or go on to a much bigger contract. And sometimes you can also kind of feel the service and whether the technology team is really able to deliver what they have promised as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, even though we're on the provider side, we highly, value that approach, and we do, provide free proof of concepts to customers we work with, because ultimately we also want to share a product that makes sense for the prospect or customer. Otherwise, it does become painful post-contract signing. So I can second that approach. So Gina, how has your experience, partnering with us been so far?
Like I said earlier, right, no vendor is perfect. So if I say that, oh, ONFIDO is perfect, obviously it's a lie. But I think the important thing is that our team is able to work very well and very closely with ONFIDO. Because every product, every technology product that is implemented, you cannot expect it to score 100 points upon implementation. You need tuning. You always need adjustment. And the critical piece is to work with a vendor who is willing to work with you on that. I mean, some vendors, after they sign a contract, they kind of disappeared. But there's also vendors that continue to collaborate. I think initially when we started the journey, right, our onboarding rate is like 70%. But over the past 1 month, we have been working to tune. Now we have managed to improve to 90%. And I think we are looking to implement a couple more things. And hopefully we can hit 95% and above. Again, reality, no company can do 100%. Anyone who tell you it's 100%, they are definitely lying. And you just have to manage the reality versus, how the implementation actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. And we joke internally in our team that we actually love partnering with Amber because they push us, in terms of either providing, or if we don't have them, then finding a way to solve the challenges that they're encountering. So, for example, just one example, for proof of address, we didn't have, the best coverage in APAC, but through partnering with them, we made it happen. We work with our product team, and now we're able to cover most of it. So it's a two-way partnership. We also really benefit with them, and by working with them. And like Gina said, as long as we keep the communication channels open, it really is in both parties' interest.
Yeah, so how do you all handle all this fraud that is coming from different vendors actually? Do you have any secret recipe or something?
Yes, we do. And honestly, I think, we have a multi-pronged approach to it, right? We have our global document fraud team. It's made up of experts who really, are trained veterans in identifying fraud. So in fact, the team has been partnering with law enforcement agencies such as Interpol for a decade now, training, police officers, law enforcement officials, border guards in being able to skillfully identify fraudulent documents. In fact, the team was in the Philippines 3 months ago working with Interpol as well. But that's a small team, right? So how do you scale this so that you're effectively processing millions of identities on a daily basis? So for that, after a lot of experimenting, we really have a hybrid approach to it where, all of that, so we have an extensive document library. If I were to just focus on the document piece, right? So 2,500 documents, we know what the templates should look like. If there's a hologram, we need to check it. In a particular document, this is the font size that should be in this position. So there's 30 to 40 fraud checks. We've trained our AI to go through it systematically, check it, and if something's off, flag it. Now, the machine obviously is not perfect. There's many times they're not able to conclusively decide if a document is genuine or fraud, in which case we have a human-in-the-loop approach So the check gets escalated to a trained human analyst who then takes the final call on, whether what we think this, document is, and we give the compliance team that information accordingly. So, so kind of, that gives you a flavor of how we approach fraud. Now, there's many other vectors that we add on to that as well.
That's great. What are the new plans that you have coming in the next couple of months or next year then?
Yeah. So just a few weeks ago, we launched our Real Identity platform. So what that means is now, initially, ONFIDO started out as a solution for the point of onboarding, right? So we're doing identity check with your document and a photo, and then potentially a watch list check if that was a requirement. But now we're adding on a lot more signals that can help organizations work with customers through their life cycle, such as, if they're doing a higher volume transaction than they normally do, then you can re-authenticate them by asking them to take a selfie, making sure it matches their account before they process a higher volume transaction. Or it could be a proof of address check. Or it could just be, a country where you see more fraud than normal coming, then we've built in more fraud signals, such as device integrity, IP, geolocation. So the whole idea is moving to a platform approach where, and we call it ONFIDO Studio. So the idea is compliance and products team can drag and drop and design the perfect journey. So in Australia, you may have a particular product that requires maybe doc, selfie, and watch list. But in another market, you might need to do an ID record check. So the whole idea is to enable teams like Gina's to be able to very easily design that journey through a drag and drop interface. And so that's something that we're kind of working on and taking to more of our customers by the end of this year.
That's good. I guess we'll get all these very soon, right? So.
Absolutely. And, Amber's high on our list for beta testing any product that we come out with.
So I need 10 more people, or do I not need 10 more people?
No. The idea is that you don't.
Thank you.
So, I think that brings us to the end of our chat today. I hope this was interesting for the audience. And, feel free to come up and, have a chat if you like as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. Another big round of applause for Urvashi and Gina.